Miss Nikita Kishore, and Mr. Sachin Uttarwar.
Hey, hello
Now we
everyone.
will move. Sachin, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey, hello everyone. Myself Sachin. I am a recent graduate from 2021 graduate from Architecture Department, and I will be joining IIM Ahmedabad this year for 2 year postgraduate program.
Okay. So, Nikita, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Nikita. I was a part of the Humanities and Social Sciences department. I pursued an integrated MSc in economics. And I too will be joining IIM Ahmedabad this coming academic year.
Okay. So now we will start our panel discussion for today. We will move towards the question.
So, Nikita
So,
and Sachin, congratulations to both of you. Obviously, you have done great. Uh, what was the inspiration behind pursuing MBA?
Okay. So
Any one of you can start first.
cool. Basically, this is really an important question because anyone who is planning for an MBA, they should clearly understand why do they want to do an MBA. If they have an answer to this question, then and only they should start even preparing for it. That's what I personally feel. So personally, I would like to join MBA for understanding the various domain of a company. Means what kind of work is carried out in different domain. I am an what we say aspiring entrepreneur. I have started my own product as well. I have registered a startup. So one of my major reason to join an MBA was to understand various domains so that I can implement it in my own startup. So that was the major inspiration for me to pursue an MBA.
So I think for me, like the reasons for pursuing an MBA obviously depend from person to person. There were multiple reasons. First of all, I want to kind of do an MBA and enter the workforce, and then I want to just focus on that. I don't want to go back to school once I start working. That was reason number one. Reason number two is I think MBA will kind of help you in terms of decision making. So there are actually two schools of thought. Some people say that having WorkX will, allow you to kind of get more out of an MBA, but it's also the other way around. So after doing an MBA, you might be able to contribute more towards your company and just produce better quality of work because you will have a better understanding of how the different functions kind of work together. The third reason was just to meet people because even though I've done economics, it's like from an IIT and I've only interacted with engineers. But I think going for an MBA will also allow me to kind of meet people from other backgrounds and explore a bit more before I choose an industry or a field I want to go in. So those were my reasons.
okay, that was some good reasons mentioned. So we will move towards our next question. So, would you like to say about the structure of the exam? We can start with Nikita.
Okay. So I think the CAT structure is like pretty direct. So you have three sections. The first one's verbal ability, the second one's data interpretation, logical reasoning, and the third one is quantitative ability. So all of them have a fixed time limit. So usually it's 1 hour, but for us, because of the pandemic, it was reduced down to 40 minutes, and you can't leave the section before the time is up.
Okay.
Yeah,
So, Sachin.
and just to add, only thing like even this year we don't know whether what will be the time period. So last year for us it changed to 2 hours. So this year it can be 2 hours or 3 hours. But the pattern is almost pretty straightforward. It doesn't change over the year. Means if it's to the section or even within a section, what kind of topics are coming, even that doesn't change.
Okay.
Okay, so moving on to next question. What do you think is the right time to prepare for CAT? Considering people are also doing their graduation.
That's a
So
good question to answer, I think, because it depends from person to person.
yeah,
It's an
um,
interesting question.
but
Yeah, most of
if you'd
us
like,
always plan things.
Yeah.
yeah. But if you'd like to ask me, it first answer should be when would I would like to do an MBA? If I want to take WorkX, then do an MBA. If I want to directly as a fresher graduate, I want to do an MBA. Here the scenario will be as a fresher if someone wants to join. For personally, what I felt was कि during the placement time when we start our placement preparation in our final year, So if we start our CAT preparation along it, because it resembles most of the part, even most of the companies when they come to the campus, they have similar kind of question in the preliminary tests. So that is the best time we can prepare, start preparing.
Yeah, I think that's correct. Like up till your pre-final year, you're kind of, caught up with the cats, and the cats is very important. So that is what you should be focusing on, and you can start prep of like the summer after your pre-final year, and just kind of, like align it with your placement.
Okay. So we will move towards our next question. So this is a like a very detailed question. Like, what should be the preparation strategy and the resources, or like any coaching institute for CAT aspirants in KGP? So we will tackle it one by one. So first we will go with the preparation strategy. Sachin, would you like to start with?
Prepared. So first of all, I didn't join any coaching, so I didn't have much understanding of what thing happen in a coaching. But looking at the preparation strategy, for me, what it helped to me, I can tell that. So I didn't had any idea what is the kind of pattern or something. So I decided in the month of June, okay, I want to at least pursue an MBA, and CAT can be the better option. So after that, I started exploring various mock tests. Oh, that too, previous year question papers. So every weekend or every week, I used to solve two mock papers, and from that I got to mock papers, that to 2017 section 1 paper or 2017 slot 2 paper, that way I used to solve it. So from that I got a pretty much understanding about what kind of question patterns are there, and based on that we can prepare our own strategy. Suppose if I take an example of VRC section, so we know okay, there will be 4 or 5 paragraph, after that they call it a theta question, so that will be MCQ question which includes odd man out, or 4 or 5 jumbled sentences will be there, we have to arrange it, so the pattern will be pretty much common. So based on that we have to identify what are our strong points in each of the section, and then I decided ki, okay, see, if a question has 5 options and I have to find jumble it and arrange it in a sequence, I always used to get it wrong, so I didn't even attempt that in one final exam. But if the similar question with a 4 option used to come, I used to solve. So what I feel is everyone should prepare their own strategy for an exam. Ki, okay, this is my stronghold and I should attempt this particular section in this particular manner. So that's the thing I will tell. And for us, we are from IIT, right? So we have basic understanding of all these 3 sections. So we don't have to take a book and read each and every topic, or attend some coaching institute and attend every topic of them and solve all those 50 MCQ questions. So I don't think that is required. So analyzing the mocks after each and every examination and understanding the type of solution or whatever the question we get wrong is pretty much important.
Yeah, that's a very great strategy. So Nikita, what would you like to say about it?
I think he covered like the main points. I think being from an IIT definitely gives you an advantage, and one of them is you have an idea of the topics already, and you have already attempted advanced. So you have an idea of like how to approach a competitive exam. But like there are other advantages as well. So coming back to like how I prepared, I took a mock around July just to see where I stood. So that would give me an idea which sections I would have to focus on and where I'm lacking. Am I like, do I not have the speed? Do I not have the accuracy, etc.? And once I was done with that, I did not really enroll for coaching. I did buy a VARC course because for VARC, one thing I realized is if you get the question wrong, right, it's very hard to convince yourself why you got it wrong. It's a very subjective kind of a section. So for that, I bought a course. It's called VARC 1000 by Career Launcher, and in that particular course, he kind of walks you through the question and helps you understand why you were wrong. So I think that is something that's required for VARC. For QA and DILR, you don't really need coaching as such. I bought 3 mock series. So I bought Time, IMS, and iQuanta. So you can buy the most basic pack, and actually, some of these coachings give you a discount if you're from an IIT. So that is something you should like completely exploit. And I think variety is very important because each of these mock series have different people enrolled. So you're kind of you have a better benchmark in terms of where you stand. So yeah, I think apart from all of this, you can buy like a few ebooks. There's Arun Sharma, obviously, but you don't have to like read through these books. It's more like if you feel that you are repeatedly making the same mistakes, then you can like refer to a particular topic. And they obviously have like really good practice questions as well.
Okay, so for exam like CAT, like speed and accuracy matters a lot. So like how you have improved, like you like there might be a time where you may have lagged over this. So how you have improved upon these aspects?
Uh,
Would you like to share anything about it?
I think like Sachin maybe go first.
Uh, what I would tell that CAT is a kind of paper. It's not like if we are provided 4 hours, we will score full marks. So here the selection of the question is more important, right? Because if I was provided more time in DILR, I would solve all the questions which were coming in an exam. So it's more about finding a particular question which can be solvable. Sometimes it happens, right? If I read some VRC paragraph or one DILR set, and we should means instantly able to understand कि, okay, this is solvable, it will, but it will take time, and we should have a guts to move on to the next set to find one which can be easily solvable. So it comes through practice, but it's more like an instinct or more like our own capacity whether we will be able to solve this particular set or not. So we should not waste time thinking ki, okay, I have read this set, I have already wasted 4 minutes, so I should not skip this question, I should get the answer and then move on to the next question. So that thing took time to me to what we say implement into me. So
Yeah, I
Uh,
think that's a very nice strategy. Yes, Nikita.
So I think if you look at in terms of speed, for section like quantitative ability, you have less than 2 minutes per question, and some of them you can do really fast. Some of them take time. I think for us the time was even less because we had more number of questions, but only 40 minutes. So speed is important, and as you mentioned, like picking and choosing the question is also very important. But I feel that most of the engineers who appear for CAT already kind of have speed because they know the concepts. So they don't have to think about the formula or the equation. And actually, CAT has only 10th grade level maths. So, for example, you might have like maximization, minimization problems. So we can like differentiate and arrive at the answer, but other people have to kind of come up with another way. So I think speed-wise we're fine, but we lack in accuracy. So that's something that needs help. Like that's why you have to write a lot of mocks. Just hone that skill.
Exactly. So,
Okay, such
yes, Riddhi, just one more thing. Like considering there is a vast amount of resources over internet, like people just get like mixed up in what where to go and where not to. So, do you have anything to say about it?
I think one way of going about it is start with the absolute bare minimum. So when you write mocks, right, a lot of these coaching institutes actually have a few free mocks on their website. So first attempt those mocks and see whether you actually like them or not. So I personally did not like a few coaching institutes, so I did not buy their material. So always start with the bare minimum, write the free mocks, see if you like it or not, and not only that, but if you get something wrong, are they able to tell you why you were wrong? Because even that is very important. So try out a few free mocks. And so for me, like I would BRC the class thing very later on, like I think in September or October, because by that time I realized I can't really do it on my own. So I think just go with an additive approach. So, as in when you think you need something, then only purchase it and try to get it for free. First of all, try to get it for free. And if you still can't, then maybe look into like buying it.
yeah,
Okay.
even
Sachin, would you like to add anything?
Mm, yeah, I just purchased the means like she said. I even tried various platforms. Even there are Cracky platform and many other platform where we can try mocks. Even I tried Cracky, but I didn't like it, so I didn't purchase it. So same should be applied. And Career Launcher always comes on our campus and provides a discounted rate for mock, so you can have that. So I personally used Career Launcher's mock, so it helped me.
And I think you should definitely exploit YouTube as much as you can
Yeah.
because YouTube has like a few really good videos on selective topics. You don't have to watch videos for every single thing. But if you're like suffering, like, with a particular topic, then definitely just go on to YouTube.
I think you covered it very well. So, we will move towards the next question.
Okay, so I have one follow-up question. So, Sachin, as you mentioned, everyone should prepare their own strategies for attempting the exam. Can you elaborate how people can use their different strengths?
So let's take an example, such as if a quant section is there. So we had like for me logarithm questions or for me what we say uh, trigonometry questions. They were my strong point. So I always used to go through surf to the question. I used to solve it. Okay, logarithm question is there. I can solve in 10 seconds. I will just solve it, and that used to boost my confidence because I used to get to know that okay, I have solved 10 questions and I perfectly know 10 of them are correct. So, and back of the mind, we always have a calculation like, okay, for attempting 99.5 plus or 99.8 plus percentile, we would require this much right questions. So that usually go in our mind. So whenever I used to solve 15 of those questions, I was pretty sure, okay, this much is over. So beyond this, whatever I will score is my, what we say, extra formula. So that was my strategy for quant. Similarly, if I look for LRD, I previously told, okay, I will be just looking at this should not be used, but what I used was I used to see whatever the question, which is just the smallest paragraph. I used to read that first, whether it will take time or not, because I always used to see, okay, if the paragraph is less, so there will be less restriction points plotting on the paper. So I always used to prefer that, but those questions would be tough most of the time, but that worked for me. So everyone, that's the reason I was telling ki we should prepare our own strategy.
Smart way of managing the situation. So yeah, next thing is what kind of non-academic routine should be adopted during CAT preparation?
So what exactly do you mean by non-academic? Like, I didn't understand that.
Uh,
Basically, our own CATs are very different from the preparation for CAT. The syllabus is very different. So how do you manage that? What kind of things you read for CAT specifically, considering you also have a CATs?
I think like Sachin, as you mentioned initially, like placements and CAT prep is actually very, very similar. So you can kind of, just view it as an extension of your placement prep that way. So whichever time you give for placement, just like maybe 2, 3 hours extra for CAT, maybe. So that's
Yeah, and
I
I think one should not ideally change their own routine or something just for preparing for the CAT set. It should be coming in a natural way. Means we are going for one institute level exam or midterm exam. In that way, the way we go there, it should be like that. It should not be treated as separate some big deal or something.
yeah.
So one should, and even CAT want people from different backgrounds, right? So they don't want people to, okay, just remove their core or just distract from something what they are doing in undergrad and they want to focus just for the CAT. So that would be pretty much wrong.
I think IIT curriculum already teaches you the way to handle pressure. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
yes. So we will move towards our next question. So this one is interesting. Should one skip the placements and involve in the full-fledged CAT preparation?
No, no. There's no reason to do it. Like, why do you want to do it?
If suppose at the end of the day, if we have both the things in our hand, that would be pretty good, right? Like I have to on the same day when the CAT IIM Ahmedabad result announced, same day my joining from the EXL was declared. Means I got a joining letter from EXL. That will bring you more happiness, right? You have both the things in your hand and you can decide at that point as well ki whether I should. Even if I give an example, IIM Ahmedabad offers and deferred placement, deferred admissions. So I wasn't having a time to think whether I should go for defer or whether I should join the company. So having both the things in our hands are very helpful.
But at the same time, yes, yes, Nikita, you were saying something.
So personally speaking, I didn't really like prepare for placements as such. I didn't practice coding. I didn't really like go through anything. I didn't have any finance certifications either. But just preparing for QA and DILR helped me get shortlisted in companies. So there is a very significant overlap between the two. So that's why I would say that just look at if you're very serious about CAT, like that is your number one priority, you can look at placement test as another mock test, right? You're just like attempting more questions. So why not sit for placements? And also, I think just having more interview experience will also help you when you finally get an interview call. So you're not losing on anything if you prepare for and if you sit for placements as well.
Okay.
Even just to add, even during the placement time, the companies which I was not interested in, then also I was going for that just to going for that test just to get used to the test pattern. So that really helps.
Yes, to summarize, like just to get an experience about different interviews and like the preparation strategy is similar, like placements as well as CAT. So,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, so we will move towards our next
So the
question.
next question, I think you answered it very well previously also, how to attempt the exam strategically. Moving on to the next one. So
Yep.
yeah, it's for the interview. What are the nature of interviews? Tips for performing well, and how much your soft skills and how much your actual knowledge of the content helps you in interviews.
So honestly, CAT prep is very easy compared to interview prep. Because when you talk about CAT, you know the syllabus, you know where the questions are going to be asked for, and you can attempt like 40, 50 marks to, just improve how you perform. But when it comes to interview, there's a lot of uncertainty. You don't know what they're going to ask you. So roughly, you can say that there are three main types of questions. Like if you're, appearing as a fresher, one of them is a CATS, and a CATS is very, very important. I think I gave three interviews, and all the three interviews, there was a very, like a lot of stress on a CADS. And it's not very direct question. Like I'm from economics, so they wouldn't ask me something as, like what is demand and supply? They would ask you something complicated. So what do you think is a supply curve for an online lecture? Like something I, sell on Coursera, what would be the supply curve or something like that? So it's very applicative. And I think even if you come from an engineering background, the professors there would not really know a lot of the theoretical concepts, but they will ask you something applicative. So they asked a civil engineer that when the plane crashed into the two towers, like 9/11, why did the tower fall down? So those are the kind of questions that they ask. The second one is also very important. It's current affairs, and current affairs is actually very different from general knowledge. So general knowledge is basically just facts and figures, but current affairs they want to know what you think. So, for example, like when I gave my interviews, there was that coup going on in Myanmar. So their question was, why is China like, why is China being discussed, and how will this affect India? So you need to have a point of view about everything. It's not about knowing the exact statistics, but you should know what is happening and how does it affect India specifically, or like just how does it change the world dynamics. And the third type of questions is basically HR type questions, like why do you want to do an MBA? Why not? Why don't you want to go for a job? What are your strengths, weaknesses, etc. So I think the first and the third type of questions have an overlap in terms of job interviews.
Okay. Sachin?
Yeah, Nikita pretty much covered it, but I would like to add means ki ACADS are really focused for at least a fresher graduate like us. One who comes with the experience, they will focus on your what we say job role and all. But even though if we even want them to focus on our internships and all, they will focus on your graduation level things. But with some practice or with some what we say style of explaining, we can divert them a bit, but they will surely focus on ACADS. For me, I am from architecture background, so they in Ahmedabad interview they asked me about okay, recently Ahmedabad buildings were in news. What were your views on it? So they didn't even explain me what purpose it was in news, and they didn't even told me ki, okay what are you means directly ask my views on it. So one should really understand means they have implemented for current affair as well as my domain field. So this will once you get the scorecards of your cat, many coaching institutes will be approaching. For me, two or three approached me just to provide a mock test series. I joined one just to get an experience, and they even will take your mock interviews, and they will even give a bundle of whole what we say previous year students mock, what happened to them, what sort of questions were asked to them. So after getting the cat result till the what we say till you have your interviews, even if you prepare in that time, that means also will be enough for one to what we say crack one of the interviews from ABC. Like I didn't crack B, I had an interview with B. Only question which I was unable to answer there was what is the India GDP, and I completely went blank at that time because of one question. I was not shortlisted, I was waitlisted. So questions will vary. It will be tough, but it will be more easier than our placement interview. That's what I felt.
Okay,
Okay.
Sachin, I have one more follow-up question. As you mentioned, they ask you about your domains and current affairs is included. What if you don't know something? It's not possible for you to know all the answers. How do you tackle that situation?
Yeah, but
Instead of going blank, can we go around answering something, or should we clearly say ki we don't know the answer?
so what I personally used to do is I don't want to hang around. They asked me, "Do you read the financial news?" If I would have said yes, I occasionally read it. They will surely ask me, right? So I used to clearly state that, okay, sir, I am not aware of this. My interest of domain is this. So I used to add one more sentence to it so that they should focus on this. That particular person's interest lies in that field, and they don't expect you also to know all the stuff. but they will surely focus. If you say ki, okay, my interest of domain is, I said ki I don't follow financial news, but I follow what all happens in a startup world. So they ask me on that, okay, what are the recent companies which had an IPO, so in that way, so we can even divert an interview, but that all depends on the kind of panel you get.
Yeah.
Nikita, what would you say about this? Is there another strategy that you use?
No, so it's very important to just be honest. So what I used to do was, for example, during my Calcutta interview, they asked me the unemployment rate 2 years ago. So I don't even know the current unemployment rate, like let alone 2 years ago. So I told them that I don't really remember the figure, but I do know that it was in the news, and this is the headline that I remember reading about. And I just, try to tell them that maybe I don't know the exact facts and figures, but this is what I feel about, that this is what I know related to that particular topic. So I think that is good enough. You don't have to know everything. I think out of 10 questions, candidates in general say no to 7 or 8. So it's completely fine. They just like keep, firing questions, and it's okay to say you don't know, you don't know. But the thing is, it has to be justified. So if you do know something, why don't you know it? Is it because you're focusing on something else? So you have to be like very clear about that.
Okay. So one more follow-up question I would like to ask. So for the interview, have you prepared specifically for your core, like being from an engineering background? It must have struck in your mind to prepare for core.
I don't think both of us are from engineering. He's from architecture, I'm from
I
econ.
know, but
But
still, like,
yeah. So I did study like a CAT, like some theory part, because the thing is, economics is a subject that's taught to you during MBA. So the problem is there are chances that the panelist is an economics professor. So in that case, they just don't care. They'll ask you the theoretical part, like how do you derive this model, how do you do that, etc. I think that is unlikely if you're from an engineering background because they don't have any idea themselves. In that case, they might focus more on maths. But for me, they did ask a lot of theory, and I had to kind of go through the very basics. And apart from that, they also ask you what your favorite subject is. This is something that they did to me in all my three interviews. So even as an engineer, they'll ask you what your favorite subject is. Why is it your favorite subject? So for example, I said macroeconomics, and their question was, why do we even study macroeconomics? Don't you think it's useless? So you just have to be very well prepared with, I think, around 3 or 4 subjects. So I think that is enough. You don't have to be thorough with everything. But one thing you should keep in mind is that they have your transcript. So they see all your grades. They know if you did bad in a particular subject, they know if you did well in a particular subject. So if you have like average grades, but in 2, 3 subjects you have an EX, you should know that subject really well. And if you have good grades, but you have like a few bad grades, then you should have a justification why you didn't perform well.
okay.
So
Sachin, would you like to add anything?
yeah, it was bit different from me since I come from bit of a design background. Although they don't know ki in Kerala what happens, but when they heard here architecture, they think of design. So, and surely they won't be asking a theoretical question for me when I went through past interviews of when I spoke to alumni who are studying architecture alumni who are studying there. So I got a basic idea ki what kind of questions they will be asking. So preparing for each and every subject is not at all advisable. We should, like she said, we should only prepare for 2 or 3 subjects which are required. But we should kind of understand ki what kind of questions they can ask from your domain. So what has been previously asked, you should surely prepare for that. I knew ki they will be going to ask me what is your favorite architectural building and why do you like it. And they asked me for out of ABC, they were asked me in two of the what we say interviews. They even asked me about what do you feel about I am Bangalore's architecture or what do you feel about I am Ahmedabad's architecture. So they surely are gonna ask these questions. So one should be prepared for it. Ki what I am going to answer. So not everything, not preparing for every subject is what we say. We should only focus on 2 or 3 major subjects, but not prepare for all the subjects.
Okay. So one last question, like, do you have any specific strategy 1 week before the interview or on the day of interview? Is there anything would you like to share?
So I think 1 week before the interview, don't take any mock interviews because a lot of these coaching institutes, the mock interviews that they give is stressful by design. They want you, they just want to put you on the spot. So don't do it 1 week before the interview. This is something that even they will not advise. So that is one thing, but keep reading the news. That is very important, and just go through the academic part again and again. And I think apart from that, there's nothing that you should do exactly 1 week before. And on the day of the interview, so for us, two of them were online, like Calcutta and Bangalore. You just take it from your room, so there's nothing for you to actually like really do. For Ahmedabad, you have to like go there. So apart from interview, there's also a very other important portion, which is the essay writing. So for Ahmedabad, that happened right before the interview. So you have to be prepared for that as well. So once you're done with that, then you go on to the interview.
So I would like to just add that one should be pretty sure about the kind of environment they will be giving an interview. So having a basic idea of that will be making you prepared. Like for me, I just asked people like how is the Ahmedabad. There is a called analytical writing test for Ahmedabad. So I just ask how is the kind of scenario. So if we have well prepared, means we have kind of image in our mind. Okay, this is the thing or this is the thing will be happening when I will be going there. So that boosts the confidence. And second thing I would not advise was ki don't ask lot of people what was asked to you. They will be like telling, hey, they asked me maths question, they asked me this integration question, but these things will be person to person based, right? So we should not continuously read about okay what was asked to this and then panic and read more stuff regarding that particular topic. Just be natural and just be normal as much as you can.
That's nice. So I think we will move towards the next question. We have given plenty of time to this question.
So these are some common questions that people have. First one is how to tackle the DILR section.
Uh, it's very traumatic to be honest, this particular section. But one thing I realized was so when I was starting out, a lot of people tell you that if you have the 1 hour section time, they tell you that you're basically given 8 sets, and each set has 4 questions. So you have 32 questions overall, and it's like if you solve one set, you can solve all the 4 questions. So what a lot of people will tell you is that out of eight, just like attempt 4 or 5. That's like enough. So that's what you should aim for. But what you should actually be doing is you should know how to solve each and every set. And then you have the privilege of actually choosing, because otherwise, there might be a set which is easier, but you're so caught up in a particular, question, like you want to only solve that particular set that you're gonna waste your time, and that will bring down your score. So that's, I think, number one, that you actually need to be very thorough with DILR. It's not like you can pick and choose. That's just false. You should be able to solve all 8 sets. The second one is a lot of people tend to fit it into frameworks. That, array, this is a four Venn diagram question, blah, blah, blah. Don't do that, because what will happen is when you read that question, rather than actually trying to solve the question, you'll be trying to find the framework into which it fits. So you should not be doing that, because again, that's like wasting your time, and it might be a hybrid question, and it might also be something you've never seen before. So I think whenever you approach a DILR set, you should like start from the very basics and build up, and then use it as a tool. So if you reach a point and then you realize it's a four Venn diagram, then go ahead with it. And I think the third one is just like solve. Don't look at solutions. Don't build that habit of like looking into solutions. Even if you struggle with it for 1 hour, do it on your own.
So just to add to it, see in VARC and quant section, it's like we would, if we have a lot of practice or kind of a good timing, we could be able to solve all the questions. But DILR is not like that, like a section where we will be able to attempt all the sets. So it's 100% sure that you will be able to miss 2 or 3, or in worst case scenario, if 8 sets are there, you will be losing 4 sets. So one should be not redundant that I will be solving all the set. In the early times when I used to solve personally, I was like, hey, DILR is one of the easiest. I would be able to solve all the set. But when I sat solving, I would be not able to solve more than 4 sets or sometimes 3 sets. So solving the sets, selecting selection of the sets is very important. And second thing is getting all the questions right of that particular sets is also very important. Sometimes what we do is we prepare a Venn diagram and everything is on the in front of our eyes, but we will be like making mistake in either one or two sections, two questions, because they will be just writing a single line about okay, they will be asking a separate thing, but we would be neglecting it. We would be like, okay, it's in front of my eye, I will just write it down. So solving the sets, choosing the sets and solving all of them correctly. That's what I used to follow.
Yeah, I think that's a that's a good strategy to tackle the DLI section. I think more and more practice and to think and have a good discussion. Okay, fine. So we will move to the next question. Yes, Riddhi.
So yeah, why MBA after engineering from such a reputed institute? Like, why do you want to do MBA after being from IIT Kharagpur, doing your engineering, having an option for a better placement?
Why not? MBA is a postgrad. You will do it after your first degree, right? And MBA is very different. So one thing that I see is that when you're doing engineering, you can study one night before the exam, and you're good to go. Like you'll get a really amazing CGPA, etc. You can't do that in an MBA. So an MBA is like it just requires constant effort, and the way of teaching is also very different. So they use like a case-based approach where basically just given details, and you have to make a decision. And basically, I feel like an undergraduate degree basically gives you a lot of knowledge, but an MBA helps you translate it into the real world. And this is something which is very applicable in my case because I'm an economist, right? And a lot of economic models don't really make sense in the real world. So for me, an MBA will basically, help me translate that into something actionable. So that's why I think IIT is a very good tag. But again, you should never rely on the IIT tag getting you anywhere. It will probably help you in the first 3 4 years of your career. Then it doesn't matter. And beyond the point, the ability to make decisions is very important. Just the fact that you have a good CGPA from an IIT does not help you. You need to be a leader, right? So I think doing an MBA will help me with that. It will help me be a better leader. It will help me just make better decisions. That's why I think going for an MBA post IIT makes sense.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, Sachin, would you like to add anything?
Sachin, I would like to add one more thing to your question. So, from being from your background is basically design. In Kharagpur, we learn design, but again, MBA after architecture sounds very different from what usually people prefer. How did you end up thinking you'd do MBA from IIM or rather than anything else?
Yeah. So one thing I would like to hear that after 12th, none of us knew, right, ki what department or what thing suits us. Those are the decisions based on the past rankings or what we say, college tags and all. But during the 5 years at 5 year or 4 year stay at IIT Kharagpur, we understand that what our liking is or what is the field which is more, what we say, uh, helpful for us in a long run. So for me, I understood that in my second year that I don't like have any kind of sort of much of an interest in architecture. So I was mostly involved in all the activities which are, uh, what we say, which would help me for a career in either consulting or management. So I took a micro specialization in entrepreneurship, started, what is participated in competitions such as World Prize and all. We represented. So that helped me that understand, okay, I like more of these things compared to architecture. It's not like I completely dislike architecture, but it was like, okay, these things are making me more happy. So I decided ki, okay, I would like to gain more and more knowledge in this particular field. And that time I was like, okay, for after graduation, I will surely like to pursue the thing which I personally like rather than going in a herd.
So, how was the preparation much more different for you? Like, because usually, if you are interested in these fields and you have architecture on your background, the subjects are very different. We hardly have anything to do with anything else other than designing and some sort of structural analysis.
So practically speaking, architecture helps a lot for a person because architecture is not just about the designing something, it's about making something for an user. So understanding the user base is really required, and that's what in management is all about. In management also you will be dealing something which will be at the end of the day benefiting someone, right? In architecture also we go through the similar kind of process. So if you currently see most of the people currently in a product management or product design, similar kind of field, they are from either from design background. Means as of now, means you can find pretty much people from design background or architecture background. So because our things are processed in such a way that we'll be able to understand the need requirement first, then translating it into a physical product. So in that way, architecture subject helped me a lot. And secondly, we used to take a lot of electives. I personally to look lot of electives from VG or electives from what we say our Rajendra Mishra school. So I at least took around 7 to 8 subjects. Even I was in pursuing a micro specialization in economics. So if one has a liking for something, then they can gain a knowledge a lot in KGP. So
And I think I'll just like to add to that. So I think there's a misconception that only a specific type of people go for an MBA. You
yeah,
have people pursue like completing an MBBS and then coming to do an MBA. You have people from the tourism. Like there's someone with a BSc tourism. I didn't even know that the degree existed. So you need to understand that an MBA, not everyone wants to go into consult or finance, right?
yeah,
An MBA can just be like a skill set that you use and to get back to your industry. So if you have done maybe hospitality and then you do an MBA, then you go. Maybe you can combine your knowledge of like how customers behave with the business acumen you've developed during your MBA, and then use that to maybe come up with something on your own, or like just improve the business you're a part of already. So this whole idea that only engineers or maybe economic background people go for an MBA, it's pretty outdated if you ask me, because is not everyone wants to join a specific firm. Everyone has their own trajectory.
yeah. And if you look this current year batch which is coming to Ahmedabad, there are around 25, 26 people from CA background, 3 or 4 people even are doctors.
That's
So people
it's
from different background pursue an MBA.
So that's the thing. Like even after studying at an IIT, to be honest, IIT is a bit homogeneous because everyone's an engineer, everyone comes from a science background, and the way of thinking is a bit more like it's kind of homogeneous that way, right? But if you go for an MBA, you meet people who are just from everywhere. So it never hurts to kind of hear different perspectives, I feel.
So
Yeah.
moving on to the next question. How to manage the finances of doing an MBA from IIM?
Um, So banks will give you loans. You don't have to worry about that. So when we got our offer letter, so that offer letter also contained like brochures from like a lot of different banks which want to give you a loan. And education loan is not really too much of an issue. A lot of people do take it because in India there's this thing that the interest rate you pay is deducted from your taxable income. So you actually save some money on tax, etc. So a lot of people do go for loans. So it is a bit expensive. So you have FMS, obviously. FMS is pretty affordable, but IIMs are around 25 lakhs, I would say, for 2 years. But there are a lot of financing options that you can go for.
So one thing here, I can understand that this concerns a lot for our batch or the because for our senior batch the fees at IIT was less, but the batch which our batch is paying is quite huge, right? Around 15 lakh. So 10 plus 5. So but again we are going for an MBA for by paying a 25 lakhs. So one should understand the risk as well. It's not like one should underestimate the liability we are going to take with us. But as a fresher graduate, if you are joining, one should means at the back of the mind you should understand that you are taking a liability of 25 lakhs. So and you are the one who are gonna pay back. So one should always keep in mind, okay, means while deciding whether I should go for an MBA or not, this should also be considered. What I personally think. And second thing, banks are there a lot. Like from last 3 or 4 days, I have been receiving calls from 3 4 banks to take our loan. So you don't have to actually take tension. They will even sponsor the means give us the loan for monthly what we say pocket money. They will be like, okay, we'll be providing 10,000 per month for your pocket money. So
They're
loans
also
are pretty,
they're also willing to fund your foreign exchange thing.
yeah.
So the banks are willing to give you money. The only thing you have to kind of understand is whether you'll be able to repay them or not.
Yeah.
Okay, so any special facility IITians get, especially
No,
for this?
unfortunately not.
Okay, fine. So, okay, we will move towards our next question.
Yeah, one thing I would like to add, but
Yeah.
if you are a top scorer,
Mm.
like there are colleges such as IIM Bangalore, they will be shortlisting top 20 or 25 students and they will be sending a separate mail. to them, like we'll be giving you a discount of rupees 4 lakh or 5 lakh rupees, or even at the some cases 8 lakh rupees in our college fees, just to bring the people from other college.
There are a lot of scholarships. So
Yeah, also there are a lot of scholarship there.
So how do you get to know where are these scholarships? Do they specify these in mails or
Yeah.
something?
The offer letter contains the details of your scholarships. They also have like this bulk discount deal when if you go and buy a laptop, and all these banks will just chase you to, like they want to convince you to take a loan from them. So I think in terms of financing, the options will come to you. So you don't have to like go and actively look after them. They tell you everything that these are the scholarships. They also tell you the criteria for them. And I think there are also like a few external third party scholarships that are out there. I'm aware of them, but it's there.
And one thing I would like to add, even people have money in their house, they won't pay from their pocket. Most of around 90% of the batch take loans. So don't take tension about okay who will finance my MBA.
Okay, I think that pretty much clear up a lot of doubts. So we will move towards our next question. This is also a very interesting question. So, what is the importance of CG and PORs in CAT interview?
PORs have no importance whatsoever. They don't.
So I would like to add that for if you go for Ahmedabad, even everyone who is preparing as well for now or want to prepare in future, they should go through the website of Ahmedabad. They have clear details about okay, what marks are given, what weightage. For 10th mark, this much is weightage. For 12th mark, this much is weightage. And one should understand that that is really required. Even if you score like for my score 99.6 percentile, there are few of my friends who didn't even receive ABC call. They didn't receive a call from Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta as well, just because their graduation score was poor. So one should clearly understand that okay, this is my graduation score. So like one of my score had CGPA of 7.9 in graduation. So he clearly understands that he has to score more than 99.8 or 99.85 to get an admit or get an interview from ABC. So this is really required. CG is really required. Having an 8.5 plus is what we say scores your complete full marks for IIM Ahmedabad. Even though if you are between 7.5 to 8.5, that is separate slab. So that will just deduct your 2 marks. So these calculations are provided on the Ahmedabad's website. And PORs, no one asks. Only if you look at Ahmedabad's application form, when they ask in the very start, it just has option to add three co-curricular activities and three extracurricular activities. Other than that, everything depends on what you speak in an interview.
So, and also for Ahmedabad, so when we talk about extracurriculars, right, they're specifically mentioned, do not mention your college achievements.
Yeah.
They want national or international level achievements only. So
Yeah.
my question was blank because I have absolutely no, international level recognition. Because even that has to be, like the competition has to be organized by a very recognizable body. So a lot of people don't have it. A lot of people do leave it blank. So POs, even during the interview, they don't really care about POs. They even if you mention it in your introduction, they do not pick up on it. And I think coming to CGPA again, it kind of depends a lot from college to college. But in our case, Bangalore is the one college that really cares about your acads. So it's mostly acads and work-ex. So since we don't have work-ex, you need like really good acads to get a call even for the interview. But for Calcutta, once you give the interview for the final call, they don't have academic as a part of their score. So more than 50% of your overall score depends only on the interview. So they don't care about your CGPA. What they do is during the interview, they'll test you on the different academic things, and that's how they judge you. So that is just something that you should be clear with beforehand. And then, but you should still try to maximize your CAT score.
Yes. Okay, so that was answered very well. So we will move towards our next question. Riddhi, would you like to go with?
So how can one improve his or English to get a good percentile in CAT?
It only helped with one section. Yeah, see. And I
So
think even having a good vocabulary is not enough of VARC. VARC has like a very different, like, so you need to be able to understand what you're reading. You should be able to come up with a mind map. You should be able to understand, is the author sad? Is the author sarcastic? Why is he writing this? So those are the questions that you need to be able to answer. So I don't think how good you are at English plays a very major part, because even if you're good, you can go wrong in one section.
And
So,
how does it affect you in interviews?
for Ahmedabad and Bangalore, they actually have your analytical writing test, right? So they actually get to understand about your oratory skills or other related skills from your analytical writing test. So when I went for an interview for Ahmedabad, they had my scanned copy of my written aptitude test, and they were like, okay, you mentioned some good points. So that's how they, what we say, means you were like, okay, but you made a spelling mistake out here. So they even pointed out that. So they will judge you from, what we say, the way you speak or the way you write. But I don't think for the CAT exam particularly the speaking or other stuff would be more important. But the way you understand by reading the paragraph is more important. So
You should just be very structured in the way you talk. That's it.
mm,
You should not be all over the place, because otherwise they don't really care. They understand.
yeah,
Not a lot of people come from that kind of a background, so they don't care. But you have to be structured. That's it.
yeah.
Okay, so we will move towards our next question. So, what are the differences and similarities between CAT and GMAT exams?
I did not write GMAT. I did not apply abroad, so I don't think I can answer this question.
Same. I didn't even look at the syllabus of what GMAT has. I was planning to give GMAT if I was not getting selected in Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta. So I didn't look at the syllabus. But what I have heard, it's like it's more simpler. That only the VRC section or English section is a bit tougher compared to CAT, but other sections are pretty much easier than the CAT. And GMAT option is like more like a, for a fresher, it's like one would not prefer it, because GMAT, most of the colleges under GMAT are requires 3 years of work experience. So there are very few colleges or very few good universities who admits freshers. So GMAT should be considered after CAT. Personally, what I feel, but GMAT score is valid for 5 years. So if you are in a flow of getting a good score, you can give it in your final year.
Okay, I think that answered the question. I think they can Google the rest of the stuffs.
Yeah.
So, okay, we will move towards our next question. Yes, this will be an elaborate one. So, final advice for all the CAT aspirants at KGP. We will go first with Nikita.
Okay. So it is very doable. Getting a good CAT score is very doable, because out of three sections, we already have two down. Like DILR and QA, we can knock it out of the park. It's not really an issue. BARC is something people struggle with. And what I saw, what I experienced was, I focused on all the three sections. And that actually helped me, because it is possible that you do well in two sections, but VRC will drag you down. So always keep that in mind, that try to lift up your skills in all the three sections. Don't fall for the advice that it's okay, just do two sections very well. You have to do well in all three sections. So that is like number one. Number two is, don't give up on your placements, because it's just a very good backup. And also, CAT will happen before your placements. So there is a slight chance that when you write CAT, you realize that you didn't do well. And then you realize that you only have like 3-4 days left before your placement starts. So why do you want to put yourself in that position? That's why it's better that you prepare for placements along with CAT, because again, you can defer it later on. You can maybe not even go for an MBA in that case. So there are like a lot of options that open up if you sit for placement. So definitely do that. And thirdly, I think CAT is like a really fun exam. So don't stress out, because it is really fun, like the QA section or like the logical sets, etc. So I don't know, like, don't get overwhelmed by CAT. It's something that you can definitely get a.
She pretty much covered a lot, but I would like to add one thing. Ki don't consider cat as a very big thing. Ki, okay, cat is like a life and death for someone. For us, we have already have a IIT Tech, and be happy with that as well. If you don't get selected or if you don't get an admit, most of the people, if you look on the YouTube and all, they will create a large, what we say, hype about cat only because they didn't had a good tag to them. So there are people who are preparing for CAT just for the sake of going into some big IIT, a big tag. Second thing, as she said, placement prep is the one which will help you a lot for a CAT. So if you are like, even for placement, we'll get a lot of, what we say, mails, right, for free access to test, free access to that. So even try giving that. That will be very much helpful. And for this, I got placed in EXL. EXL test was exactly almost similar to that of CAT. So if you are giving some all the placement test, I think, and if you are confident enough of solving all the placement tests, you will be surely excelling CAT. And second thing, as she said, the CAT exam is just 2 or 3 days before the what we say our placement. So even if you have, I mean, sometimes you have to travel as well, so you have to plan accordingly whether you want to give the CAT this year or you want to give the CAT next year. If your focus is completely placement, then just give CAT for the taking a reference. Okay, how would I be able to score, or what is the paper pattern or something. So think accordingly, plan your own stuff, don't rely on others of what I am saying, what Nikita is saying. Okay, they are going for an MBA and then I should also go. Don't listen to the people ki, hey, MBA is good for getting a higher package, or don't listen to the people that they will tell ki, okay, if you want to climb up in the ladder of management, you have to surely have a MBA degree. So there are pretty much option, or even like few years down the line, no companies for product management or other management field used to visit our campus. But if you look for last year's placement, many companies visited. So management companies have started visiting. If your goal is just for the sake of getting a very, very, very big high paying job, or what we say, just for the sake of money you are joining, then just don't join it. Join MBA for getting a knowledge. MBA is more about getting a knowledge or understanding the understanding various type of subjects, and making means dealing with different type of people from different background. So MBA is more about that. Even if I speak nowadays, no one suggests me to chill out in MBA. If a fresher from IIT Kharagpur asks me, I will ask him to enjoy for 3 4 months and then start studying on something. But if you are going for an MBA, no one will suggest you, hey, chill out, it will happen. Everyone will say you have to study. So MBA is more about gaining the knowledge of a subjects rather than just a tag or something. So
Yeah, that was like that was really put forward well. So just one more follow-up question I would like to ask. Like as you mentioned that there is an IIT tag already with you if you are an IIT KGP student. So is it create does it create any pressure in interview, like interviewer expect more from you, or like considers you as a very smart
So I'm
student, so
laughing
something like that?
because yeah, I'm laughing because that happened with me in Ahmedabad. So this is like what my interviewer said. These are not my words; these are his. So he told me 3 or 4 times that okay, so you have done a master's from IIT Kharagpur, so I expect you to know economics, unlike those Delhi University graduates. So he actually said this during the interview, and because of that, the answers he expected from me were, like, I want you to like bring up economic models in your answers. I want you to, be very talk about different literature you've read. So he had that expectation from me. It might be because I had a master's degree, but definitely the IIT tag is something that they'll bring up in their interview. And it is also possible they can ask anything. So if you get into an IIT and your CGPA is low, so they might also ask you about that. Ki acha IIT ho gaya, then you stop studying. So you have to be prepared for anything related to that tag because they don't care. They'll bring it up.
yeah,
It brings a lot of expectations.
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
But one thing is for sure, in every IIM, even they want people from good prestigious colleges, because they even portray themselves as ki our batch has 40% of people from IIT, our batch has 35% people from IIT. So they even want people from IIT, NITs to join them. So it's more
Uh,
like we'll have a bit of an advantage also.
It won't
like
be
can we assume that it increases the chances of selections if you are from IIT?
depends. So they
Yeah.
might have very high expectations during the interview. So
Okay.
it's like yeah, you have to justify the tag. Okay, you're from an IIT. Why does IIT have such a high brand value? Do you contribute to the brand value or do you leech off it? So they're two different things, right? So they will try to figure out whether you just rely on the brand value or you're somebody who actually contributes to the brand value. So you have to just position yourself that way.
Yeah, that was a detailed advice for the CAT aspirants. So I think
So,
that was
Nikita and Sachin, I hope the chat is visible to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
there are
So,
few
yeah,
questions.
there are few questions right now, and anyone who wants to ask anything else can write their questions in the chat.
Okay, I think the mock test we've already answered. You can take any amount of mock tests. All of them have free mock tests that you can give on their website. So just give the mock test and see whether the explanations they give you for those mock tests make sense or not. What is the next one? How many questions on average do I have to get correct? That is very tricky because it depends from year to year. We didn't even have 34, 44 questions in our because it was only 2 hours long.
34, like for 3 hours paper, it was like more of 33, 34 questions for per set. So, how much questions we used to? Ideally, like I will tell my score. I had around score of 118 out of 210 to get a score of 99.6. So you can figure, and almost I had equal score in all three sections. So you must pretty much get an idea how much you have to score in each section to get at least a percentile near about 19.6 plus. What was yours?
Mine was 153. And
Okay.
basically, as you go above, the
Yeah.
gap just keeps on increasing.
Yeah.
So what happens is a lot of people like score a particular score, but to get a higher percentile, you have to score more. Like the gap just keeps on increasing. So what happens is that maybe in DILR there would be this one set which did not click. So I was in slot 3, and there was this one particular question in which had 6 questions. Like it was a set with 6 questions. So I managed to crack that set. It was a difficult set. So that kind of gave me like 6 correct questions, and
Yeah.
that pushed my score. So that's why you should just try to answer as many questions as you can. But again, for quant, I answered every question except for 3, and still my percentile isn't in quant specifically, it's only 99.94. So even though I answered almost the entire thing, it was not enough to get me a good percentile. So it again differs from your slot to slot, it differs from section to section. So it's not a good idea to generalize, because then you'll be stuck in that mindset ki, acha, I had to answer 20 and I answered 20, so I'm good to go. So just don't think about that. I think for GRE, I can answer that because I did look at, admissions abroad for masters. GRE is very easy. You don't have to study for it at all. When you register for GRE, you're given free mock tests. That is a very good starting point. And it's just something you can write whenever you want to. Compared to GAT, you don't have to like study a lot for GRE. I think the next one is MBA from foreign university versus an IIM. So I think me and Sachin were very clear कि हमने बस India में करना है because we didn't even write GMAT.
Yeah. And about Arun Sharma books, see, as we mentioned before, we don't need to go word by word in any of the topic. We just need to identify, okay, these are my weak topics and we should prepare for it. And what if we are getting wrong questions from particular chapter in all the mocks, then we should refer. But reading by sitting the whole Arun Sharma book won't help, but it is a good book.
Okay, I think again, the question is doing an MBA in India, does it make sense? So I think let's just answer the whole foreign versus India thing and why doing an MBA in India right now makes sense for me. Again, this is a very personal thing. So for me, I see myself settling down in India in the long term. So having an IM tag is good enough for me because in India it is a very good brand and you have really good students attending it. So I did not really see the point of me waiting for 4 or 5 more years and then going for an MBA because I don't want to, kind of write GMAT when I'm working. I just want to get it over with. So that's why for me, foreign university does not make a lot of sense and I did not even look into it.
So if you ask my perspective, I was like, okay, if I had to do an MBA for foreign university, I would have to wait for at least 3 years before I get an admit. Even for ISB, I would be getting an admit now and I will be joining after 3 years. And I was a bit skeptical about myself for deferring for Ahmedabad as well because I don't know whether I will have a kind of a zeal or what we say energy to again go into the academics and read the means go through the same type of curriculum, sit down whole night and study. So that was one of my major boost to go for MBA now itself. And one more thing was like half of our college will be spent at home. Now it won't be. Means they are probably calling me back in the month of September. So I am as a trimester kind of thing. So first trimester probably will be from home and others will be from the college.
And I think even Sachin will agree, the Ahmedabad group is very, very active. So we have a debate lined up for tonight and we have a quiz tomorrow. And this is all student organized. So everyone is like itching to network. So that's not really an issue, honestly. And from us, what our seniors told us, they will like ship all the materials back to us. They'll provide us like with free access to all the journals, etc. So we're not really, we are missing out on some aspects. I'm not gonna deny, but
Means I would like to add, means when we are not joined the college, we received our mail ID yesterday, and with just a mail ID, it got hell lot of access. Like you can be HBS articles, you can just do all sort of courses, and just not like a KGP. This ID will be lifetime, so you
so
will get
it's,
many benefits there.
I mean, already, even though like it's gonna start after a month, we already feel like we're a part of IIM now.
Yeah, and they have even sent us a whole month course as well, just to prepare before joining.
So, yeah, I mean, there is a bit of compromise, but it's okay. Like, we are putting in a lot of effort from our end to, make normalize it a bit. So, yeah. Next
Few
one is
more questions like,
how to explore your interest in management sector to figure out whether an MBA is for me. Again, like this is a very generic question. It differs from person to person. So in my case, the thing is, I my profile is economics related. So I have like a research internship, and my CGP and all is basically the highlight of my CV. So for me to transition into the workforce, I felt was I need to take it step by step. So when I go for an MBA, there will definitely be an academic rigor attached to it. Apart from that, it will also help me with just generic decision-making skills and interacting with people, because we don't really have a lot of group discussions over here. Like everyone knows that when we have to present something in class, we do it one way before, and it's not of good quality. So for me, an MBA will basically be like a stepping stone into the workforce. So that's why it made sense for me to do an MBA, and it differs from person to person. It's the reason why they're doing it. And this is something you have to think about in your fourth year, preferably, so that from the summers you can prep for CAT.
For me, I would like to add I already said I am more into starting something of my own. Even if you look at architecture, it's not a job, it's a profession where we will be setting up our own firm and working. And many people say that starting up or starting something of our own company doesn't require knowledge. One can learn over a time, but I personally feel this knowledge which we'll gain in the while learning process is pretty much important, because we can always rely back on the basic principles to solve any of the things. So for me, that was the boost.
So how much is the bar raised for us seniors fresh out of college and interviews in CAT due to the weightage given to workforce and diversity? Um, So actually, if you look at the way they calculate the score, they have a very detailed document out there. There is okay, so there is some disadvantage if you come from an engineering background, because there are just so many candidates from an engineering background. But I still think in an interview, it won't really show up in terms of like you being given a stress interview and other people not. But I think for engineers, one thing that might be like a disadvantage is a lot of engineers don't know their core well. So, as an economics major, they grilled me about economics, but I read a few transcripts. So, we had like a Telegram group, and what I observed was a lot of engineers don't really remember their code. So, that is one reason for that disadvantage. So, that is something you can work on. And apart from that, you will have to work hard on CAT. Like, there's no other way around it.
And if you are skeptical that we don't have work and so that we won't be given an advantage, so CAT has means they don't directly portray that we will be having a what we say a separate group of reserved seats for freshers or separate for work but usually they will try to prefer to have means this much amount of freshers as well. So don't think that if you don't have work or diversity, you won't be able to get into MBA. We will be surely able to get into MBA because freshers have a separate set of seats reserved for them. Expensive of mom during different months. So as we stated, she started in July. I started in June. I used to take what we say mocks, one or two mocks per week. At the very start I solved all the previous year question paper from 2017. I think so they are available, and each year there are two slots. So for me for practice there are around 7 or 8 mocks from previous year itself. So I always used to take one mock from previous year, one mock from career launcher or available platform. So I solved around 10 or 12 mocks before I gave my final exam.
So I gave around 2 mocks in July just to see where I stood and to figure out which sections I needed to work on. In August, I gave like around another 4 or 5. September, because college started, I couldn't really focus much on CAT. So the thing is, even if you're not giving mocks, keep giving sectionals. So I kind of struggled a bit with DILR. A lot of people do. So just keep doing sectionals even if you're not writing. Then October, November, I try to write at least 3 to 4 mocks per week, like leading up to the exam day. And yeah, so when you analyze your mocks, definitely look at the questions you missed out on. Why did you miss out on them? Was it because of time or because you didn't know? Then the ones you got incorrect, again, why did you get them incorrect? Did you misread the question? Do you not know it? Calculation error, etc. And even the questions that you got right, you have to think about another way to do it such that you would save time. So basically, you're doing the question paper again, but like without a time crunch, and you are thinking about different ways to solve the same question. And I think this is more applicable to DILR and quantitative ability. You can't really do much with VARC. That section is just, it's there. You just have to get through it. That's it. So
So
what's your opinion about FMS? If you're gonna compare FMS with ABC, what is your opinion? FMS is really good. It's not something you should like discredit. It is very good, and they do take your CAT score as well for admission, so you can apply there as well. So one thing about FMS which I came across is the fees is very low. It's I think 10,000 tuition per year, and if you take into account living accommodation, that all you have to do on your own, it comes out to be around 2 or 3 lakhs, which is very less. So when you graduate from FMS, you don't have to repay your debt, so you're more free in terms of the profession you want to follow. So that is something that you can just keep in mind. So if, for example, you want to, go for a startup, then maybe FMS makes more sense because you don't have a loan to repay. So FMS is like, I think comparable to A, B, and C. There are people who leave A and go for FMS. So it's a very good college.
going to next. Yeah, CGPA we have already told it's better to have 8.5 plus if you are aiming for ABC. But if you even have a CGPA between 7.5 to 8.5, so that means you require more of a means higher CAT score.
The
That will just
the
yeah
criteria is 5 above.
yeah.
So I know somebody who had a 99.99, but he had a 5.7 something CGPA. Not correct, but he converted. So CGPA is like, I think you just have to keep it above 5, but it'll definitely help you in terms of. So basically, in that case, if your interview went okay, you can still convert it. Otherwise, with a bad CGPA, you need a really stellar interview. Like the interviewer should just like have their minds blown. So that added pressure is real. That's why even though the criteria is very low, just try to keep your CGPA above a certain thing.
So like they have to justify also why the
Yeah,
CGPA is low.
that is there. And just keep in mind, so I had a 5 year course. So my fourth year end CGPA was used in my CAT score. And so when I was filling out my CAT form, and they use that CAT form to actually calculate the initial ranking, whatever, then they send you another form in which you put down your latest CGPA. So basically, your pre-final year CGPA is what is going to kind of help you get an interview. So just keep that in mind. How many months of rigorous preparation, number of study hours per day are required? Uh, depends from person to person. So the very first mock that you take, if you realize that you are like well positioned, then you need to take I think 2 or 3 hours per day maximum. And mocks, so the more mocks you give, the better.
Yeah, we have been preparing for lot many exams over the 4 year or 5 year. We have been giving so many exams. Treat this exam as no different.
We passed all of this exam by studying like the night before. You can
Yeah.
do that with CAT as well. You don't have to spend 1 year on it.
Means I have seen people who have just prepared for 10-15 days and they have scored more than 99.7 or 8%.
Okay, how to prepare for interview. So, as you mentioned, I think there are 3 categories. Academics, again, you have to prepare 2 or 3 subjects and also go through your transcript and see if any subject stands out because of very good performance or very bad performance. Then there's current affairs. So I think one thing with current affairs is tie it to your domain. So like as Sachin mentioned, right? Like in his interview, he was asked about the Ahmedabad architecture because he's from that background. So try to like connect current affairs to your domain and just like in general be aware of everything and have a perspective. And the last thing is the HR prep. So that is just like why an MBA? Why do you want to do this? And they might also ask you like as a fresher, don't you think you're at a disadvantage in terms of placements? So you need to be prepared with all of this. Like what kind of questions did they ask you from the HR section? Did they ask you anything? Put you on the spot?
For me, you are asking.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, one question which I would like to add was interviewer asked me, "Hey, you are from IIT Kharagpur, and I have my friends from Kharagpur, past friends from Kharagpur, and I have heard that there are a lot of people who do an alcohol." So I was like, what should I answer? So, but I gave an answer like, hey, I live in city called Nanded, and we are a colony of 200 people. So at our home, none of us drinks or consumes, and none of our family members is open for it. But if I whenever I visit my neighbor's house, they have kind of whole setup of bar set kind of thing done in their house, and they are open to all, even for their children. So I gave them like, okay, so colony is a kind of a society, and even in Kharagpur, colony is a society, and Kharagpur is also a family of 10,000 people, like a colony, and some people can do it and some people doesn't do it. So that's the way I answered there. So they really liked it.
Yeah. Just be
That
prepared
was
for
good
anything.
answer.
So the next one is, will work experience matter? So that's something we'll find out. We can answer this next year. But talking to people, no, it doesn't.
Yeah.
So there are certain domains which don't really care much about work. So if you look at finance, I think having CFA FRM is good enough without WorkX. In consult marketing, people look for WorkX. Product management might look for tech back. So I don't think there's much bias against freshers, but it again depends on the institute. I don't think Ahmedabad has that issue.
What I have heard is like there are companies who want freshers as well compared to the one who has a work experience. So, and it's one thing I would like to add: the placements at MBA colleges such as ABC are not like what we have in KGP. It happens in cohorts, and every one of them gets a job. So learning is given more importance than what you get into a job, or what kind of job you are getting, because at the end of the day, everyone is gonna get placed. And second thing, everyone will be having an opportunity to get placed in the field of their interest. So
Yeah. So then is preparing early for BARC from second year. Yeah, you can start like just start reading. That's it. Start reading. Subscribe to newspapers, and they have those editorial sections. So just read those editorials because they're basically opinions, and you need to be able to understand where their opinion is coming from, etc. So what you do is subscribe to newspapers. I think the Hindu is really good. Then you have Mint and all of that. Just read editorials from your second year and just try to like annotate the text as you're reading, make mind maps, understand.
I think
but don't miss out on the college activities for sure, just for preparing for CAT from second year.
Just spend like 10 minutes a day, like not more.
participating in college activities can lead to like a better soft skills as well as English
Yeah.
preparation.
I think.
Also, better
Mhm.
interaction skills like networking skills.
So ABC do not have the GD component, but some colleges do. I think FMS has GD component. So that's why it's important to also have soft skills. Uh, I do not want to share my plans because they're non-existent. But yeah, I think that's something you figure out along the way. So you have summer placements. So a lot of people have one industry in mind when they in MBA. So probably something like consult or finance, and they do that for the summer placements. And then if they like it, they will just try for a PPO and that's it. But otherwise, there are people who kind of change their domains for summer placements.
So one thing I would like to clear here is many people ask me, okay, what is the branch you are taking in an MBA? So it's not like our graduation, okay, we are going into the economics or we are going into civil or something. So it's more like everyone will be having the same course for 2 years. It's just the elective subject one will be taking. And if you have heard someone telling, ki, hey, I have done MBA in finance or I have done MBA in this, so they are probably telling you they are taken those electives.
So
And
I just don't have that specialization, I think.
yeah. So it's more like we'll be figuring out ourselves as well. Ki, okay, means we have means personally I have decided something, but it may happen like after exploring few stuff, after going to the campus, I may get interest in the field of finance or something. So it's more about figuring out. And I am Ahmedabad curriculum is so vast, you will be going through each and every what we say domain. So
So I don't think the last question is a legit question. So
yeah.
Yeah, I think we can move forward. I think most of the questions are already answered, and if like someone has missed, they can see the recording. Uh, Now I think we can conclude our session for now. So thanks a lot, Nikita and Sachin. That was very good session. Like
Yeah.
even I get to know a lot of things from this session. Riddhi,
Very detailed discussion. I certainly can say people enjoyed it. There are a lot of questions. Me and Akash were also personally involved in this. So it was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining us today.
so
thank you for calling
just one
us.
more thing. Like Nikita and Sachin, you have mentioned about the resources from where you can study. So can you just name those resources in the chat box so that they will have an access to it? Like especially the career launcher part and the
And you
preparation.
may, one thing is like we will share with you a link. There are many links, driving links
Yes.
available. All these books are also there, so you can share with these people if you have their mail ID. So we'll share that with you as well.
Yeah, definitely. So, Sachin, I will ping you after this session and we can collect all those links and then we can post it in our channel so everyone can have access to it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
we can relate it from our page.
Yeah, I've just put on like my resources.
Yeah, that's great. So, I think we can conclude our session. Thank you very much, Nikita. It was really a wonderful session. Thank you for taking out time for us.
Sure.
So, we
Thanks
will see
everyone.
you.
Best luck.
Thank you.